Back in the early game industry days, there was a famous story of a studio called Interplay. Inside the company, artists noticed a strange pattern. Whenever work reached for producers' review, the producers always requested for changes. Not because the work was bad, not because something was broken, but because they needed to change something. The artists believed producers subconsciously felt that if they approved work instantly, it looked like they weren't contributing. So, one animator came up with a genius solution. He was working on a Queen animations for a game called Battle Chess. The Queen animations themselves were polished and complete, but he added one extra thing, a duck, a tiny pet duck flying around the Queen during the animations. Completely unnecessary, completely ridiculous, but carefully designed so it never interfered with the real animation. Then the producers arrived for review. The producers watched the animation carefully. Silence. Then finally they said, "Looks great. Just one thing, remove the duck." And that exactly what the artist wanted. The producers felt involved. The artist protected the important work, and everybody left happy on time. And without realizing it, they had accidentally discovered one of the most fascinating workplace psychology tricks. The scary part is this happens everywhere: VFX, software, architecture, advertisement, editing, UI design, graphic design, and everything. Because this isn't really about the ducks, it's about human psychology. Because humans have deep need for to feel useful, especially in positions of authority like leads, supervisors, managers, clients, executive producers. If they approve instantly, their brain sometimes asks, wait, what exactly did I contribute here? So they search for something to change, not consciously, not maliciously, just psychologically. Because visible changes feels like visible value. This is why tiny useless feedbacks come from weirdly common in creative industry. Things like move the layer 2 pixels, can we try version 37, maybe make it more cinematic, and can we reduce the fog by 4%? And everybody pretends these microscopic changes are critical artistic breakthroughs. But underneath all this, there is another psychological layer: ownership. People protect things more when they help to shape them. Even tiny participation creates emotional investment, which means sometimes the notes itself matter more than the actual improvement. Once you understand this concept, you will start see ducks everywhere. VFX studios, a compositor slightly exaggerate the glow, just not enough to ruin the shot, just enough to attract feedback. Then the supervisors say, tone it down the glow. Done. Meanwhile, the real compositing works survives untouched. The glow was the duck. But here is where it gets dangerous. When organizations rewards visible interference instead of invisible good decisions, people slowly stop optimizing for quality and start optimizing for politics. Meetings becomes performance data, feedbacks become ritual, and revision counts become fake productivity metrics. And eventually, everyone learns an uncomfortable lesson. Sometimes the safest way to protect a good work is to give people something harmless to destroy. That's dark. Because now creativity isn't just about skill anymore, it becomes a social strategy. Some artists become incredibly good at this, not because they are manipulative, but because survival in large productions often requires managing people, not just making art. The genius of Quint's Dusk that it understands something fundamental about human behavior. People don't just want results, they want participation. They want fingerprints on the final product. They want evidence they mattered because the ownership. People protect things more when they help to shape them. Even tiny participation creates emotional investment. And honestly, sometimes that's not even irrational. Collaboration does matter. Feedbacks can improve things. The problem starts when contribution becomes more important than outcome. That's when the duck appears. The funniest part of the Queen's Duck is that once you learn this concept, you never unsee it. You will notice in meetings, movies, softwares, office politics, client reviews, and everywhere. Tiny removal problems, sacrificial revisions, strategic imperfections. The duck was never really about the duck. It was about understanding the people. And somewhere right now, inside a VFX studio, a gaming company, or a design studio, someone is probably adding a tiny harmless mistake, waiting for somebody important to remove it. Just one thing, remove the duck. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for topic rooms.